Welcome, college basketball fans, to the Full Court Press Podcast with LT and Sammy D. This is the podcast that brings you legendary stories from college basketball's golden era and dives in deep with a current analysis of today's game. Get ready for the most energetic and entertaining college basketball podcast around. Let's get it.
Hello and welcome to another Full Court Press podcast at College Basketball Experience. Luke Taylor here in the saddle. Sam is no longer with us, just not with us today. He's dealing with some pretty nasty migraines, and if Sam's that bad not to show up, then I know things are wrong. But don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Follow us on YouTube, all that garbage, Apple Podcasts, whatever, 5-star review, whatever. So one of my favorite conferences, and they always have been one of my favorite conferences, is a conference called the Missouri Valley. And we have two fine gentlemen that we've both had on the podcast, that both have been on the podcast. We have Coach Andrew Graves from where are you from? Indiana State. We got Coach Wardle from Bradley University. But guys, welcome to the Full Court Press. Back.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, you didn't get the DePaul job, man.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm okay with that. Trust me.
I know you are, because you're a Marquette guy.
It's okay. I'm very, very happy at Bradley, and we have a great situation here, and we built it up in 9 years of investing and putting a lot of time into something.
Yep.
You care more. The more you invest, the more you care. And my wife, we've raised our 3 kids here. My wife's happy, and Coach Graves knows that's extremely important as a coach. And we're very happy, and we're excited about this team.
Yep. Both programs, both schools, both cities are great places. Missouri Valley was in a great spot. I mean, last year was a really great conference, and it's only going to get stronger and better as some of these other teams, kind of get more settled into the league. But how is how we always ask these coaches, kind of funny because it's all the same. I guess, how was the summer or lack thereof, or how was preseason or, practices going for you guys and your teams?
Well, I think for us, it really started off with putting name tags on everybody so we could figure out, who the 10 or 11 guys that were out on the court. So I made sure to call them by their right name. But
camp style, Coach Graves. That's like camp.
Yeah, had to. We had to have a checklist just to see who was present. But it was good. Guys, worked hard. They're trying to do everything that we're asking of them. It's just, going into, any game is tough, but when you go through a 20-game conference schedule like we do in the Missouri Valley, what kind of roster, what kind of team that you need to build toward. And we understand we got a lot of work ahead of us, but we feel like we got a group that is going to continue to get better, and we'll have to see where we get to come March.
Yeah. Coach Wardle had a kind of a nice return with Duke Dean, who's probably going to be first team all Missouri Valley. I got to see him in the flesh at Akron, and you also got to see in the flesh Coach Mack officiating. And you also have Darius Hannon coming back. So you guys might be preseason and the Full Court Press predictions. So talk a little bit about Bradley in the offseason.
Well, I mean, it was huge to bring Duke back. Obviously, our league has been, riddled, obviously, with portal, and NIL has affected our league a lot. And it's been a challenge to keep our top players in the league. And so to bring Duke back was a great statement. I think our Home of the Brave collective, NIL, is becoming obviously something that's extremely important to our programs. And I think we're all working as head coaches to build that up so that we can retain our best players and we can get older, more experienced guys in the league. And we want to see that throughout every team in our league. So bringing Duke back was good. Darius, too, huge step for us to bring him back and keep moving upward in his progression. He's had a great career of just getting better every year and staying loyal to our program and to his teammates. And that's been really fun to see. So, and then we brought Zeke Montgomery back, who played had a very productive 2 years for us. left us, went to Rhode Island, and ended up wanting to come back and missed it.
Isn't that funny how that happens? Like we were talking to oh God, who was it? Oh, Billy Gillespie from Charlton State.
Mhm.
He had a Freddie Hicks, 3-year conference player of the year. Finally went to Arkansas State's coming back. I mean, who would think? Obviously, he enjoyed it. He thought it was a good situation. He came back. I mean, that's the crazy thing about the transfer portal. Kids can transfer back after a year or two.
Yeah, and people were asking me, like, why would you took him back? I said, well, for me, when the kids go in the portal in the spring, they're going in the portal. This isn't, it is speed dating recruiting when we're dealing with the portal in the spring. But I always tell them, like, you're not going to go out there and date other people and then come back to me. Like, that's not how it works. That would be like me telling my wife, hey, hon, sorry, I want to take a few months and go explore and see what's out there.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Don't let it go.
I'd be done. It's not happening, right, Matt? I mean, it's like
that makes two of us. Yeah, absolutely.
Three of us. So, excuse me.
But Zeke and I were always very close. He got better each year. I didn't really understand it. I told him at the time, I don't necessarily agree with this move, but I understand there's people. Also, there's always outside influences on these young men and women too, coming in, and they have to handle that. And it's hard to handle sometimes when you're 19 years old, 20 years old. So we left on great terms, and I think he saw grass isn't always greener on the other side. I'd love to be back, coach. Would you have me? I said, absolutely. And it's been really fun to have him back in the mold and working out every day and seeing him improve.
Yeah, so you know what? Brian's given me hope because I left with a great relationship with Robbie. I hope when he goes to St. Louis, he figures out that he'd rather be back at Indiana State. No offense, guys over there, but we'd love to have Robbie back at any time. But Zeke, coach is right though. Zeke, he's a heck of a player. 2 years ago, he absolutely destroyed us here in the Holman Center. He was really a big difference in their win, and I think he's going to be, a very impactful player, for Bradley this year.
Yeah. And if you don't understand like the factors that affect players, just go to an AAU tournament for a weekend and you can appreciate how that works, right?
Yeah.
Just saying.
You can see some stuff that's interesting for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the AAU is kind of directly like the NIL transfer portal of life, but it's interesting because if you look at the conference, it was really fun last year, and it's really a coaches conference. You've got a lot of good coaches coming back. I mean, you got Ben McCollum coming into Drake. I feel like he's bringing everybody from the University of Wyoming or Northwestern Missouri State. I mean, his whole roster is like those two teams. It's kind of comical. But then you got Coach Nagy coming back to Illinois from Wright State to Southern Illinois. I mean, you got Coach Konzo Martin coming back to Missouri State. It was kind of a faux pas of like coaches coming back, but I feel like DePaul did that with Dave Lato and it didn't really work out too well. And I feel like everybody's taken that blueprint. So I guess if you guys do really well, you can always come back home, right? But I guess how does the conference look for you guys this upcoming season? I mean, could be really competitive. Murray State brings back Ellington and Wood. UNI is always, as you know, with Coach Jake, is always competitive. What do you see in the Missouri Valley this year? Who do you think will surprise you?
Well, for me, it's difficult. I think like Northern Iowa brings what's one in the Valley, and I'm going on my 10th year now, is experience and continuity and experience seems to help. It doesn't always mean you're going to have a good year, but the odds are with you if you have that. So a Northern Iowa, a Murray State, Illinois State brought a lot back. We obviously brought a lot back. So you think that those teams right away. But I always tell people we have 5-6 newcomers too. Everybody nowadays has at least 4 or more. You don't know, honestly, until I feel like Christmas, where teams may be going into the league play. I mean, because you just don't know how your team connects, how rhythm offensively, talk defensively. You really don't know till you go through some adversity in the non-conference and you play a lot of games. And so I never get too high or too low when it comes to like the first before the season for sure on who's going to be good. And even after 5 games or even 10 games, you still might not know. So, how good's Indiana State going to be? I really don't know. He recruited well. I love what Matt, brought in, and I think he can coach. And so they're going to be good, but you just don't know how teams click and improve as the year goes on either. So it's always going to be a roll of the dice a little bit too, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. We had to send in our preseason poll, and it's hard. I mean, you go through, and I completely agree with Brian that I'm going to err on the side and just history of the Missouri Valley, and really in a lot of leagues.
So Valpo is 1 and UIC is 2 for the preseason poll.
Yeah, and I mean, and Roger brought back a lot of Valpo too. So I mean, it's just it's hard to predict. It's almost
no love for UIC as a former UIC graduate. No love for Coach Eshan.
I'm sure he did a great job recruiting, and this is the thing too. Like
transition, who knows?
Bad. It may sound bad, but I don't pay attention honestly to the other programs and who they get,
right?
Because and Matt, you could probably agree. When we go into the portal, I'm very particular of what we're looking for with my staff.
Mm-hmm.
So I want a older guy that is experienced that can score, like a 2 guard. Okay. Who give me 3 or 4 names. All right. Connor Dillon was one of them. Division II, 4-year guy, going to be a 5th. Boom. We went right after Connor Dillon, all, kind of full court pressed him.
And he's from Peoria too, right?
And he's from Peoria, but we kind of real specifically look to fill holes, which is a positive of the portal in a way. You can really fill some holes quickly. But I don't look at like what Indiana State needs or what they're getting, because they might be looking for totally different players in all walks of life and how old they want to be and so forth. So it's hard to even know what the guys' rosters are. I don't even know the team's rosters.
Yeah, that's the thing. There was so much change that occurs first and foremost with your own team. Instead of recruiting maybe 2, 3, 4 guys in the spring, now it's 4, 5, 6, or 10 like we did. But until mid to late August, when I started kind of looking through rosters of what people had, I had no idea. It's like, oh, he ended up there. Or how did they get that kid? Or that's a really good get. Or I didn't know that kid left. So it's all a combination of all the above, and you get playing through the conference season. That's why I like the fact that we play 20 conference games. I think it gives us a better picture of who's playing well, who's not, where the standings fall, and obviously the preseason stuff. It's all fun and good, and it's great for conversation and media and things like that. But ultimately, with the way the college basketball landscape is now, it really doesn't mean a whole lot.
Yeah. Do you guys like having that many conference games? Is it easier on your scheduling, per se each year? Do you like having that many conference games?
I do personally, because we just have a hard time finding games, especially home games. And I'm sure Brian does too. The home game. I mean, you can always, not always, but more times than not, you can go find a pretty good road game to play or something like that. But playing at home is something we need to do more of. We have 4 non-conference, and that's going to make it really tough. And to try and schedule. So I'm absolutely in favor of playing 20 conference games, and also I think it helps when you talk about seeding for the conference tournament. This year we play everybody except 2 teams twice, and that's going to impact the standings. If you go down and look and see who's not playing what team and where, that's going to have a little bit of an impact. But anytime you think you can play everybody twice, I think that's a great thing for your league.
Yeah. Why? And this seems like it's a constant trend. I just talked to the Sun Belt, which is a lot like you guys, a very good, just strong basketball conference. They're saying the same thing. They're having a tough time getting home games.
Well, there's multiple factors to that. High major leagues have gotten bigger and bigger. Their conference, they're playing 20 games plus in a lot of leagues. They're also playing each other in a lot of head-to-head, ACC Big East battles or Big Ten and SEC. I don't even know what it is now. So, and then the rest of their games, they're just buying home games.
Yeah.
And so
the problem is you guys have 2 good. The problem is these programs are worrisome for them because they might lose. I mean, that's
Well,
what it really
and
comes down to.
and you don't want to. You need guaranteed wins when you play those home games for them. I understand it. We're looking for those too, but you got to have money now to get home games, and so I think that's where our league's got to continue to get. We all as programs and head coaches got to keep improving our NIL and also improving our fundraising so that we can get home games. And it's just hard because of. Like I said, leagues playing each other, high majors playing more conference games. You factor in, we have to play quad 4, quad 1, quad 2 games. So, like we did a home and home with San Francisco. No one wanted to play San Francisco.
Yeah,
we
Coach
really
G,
struggled.
baby. Yep.
We really struggled to find people to play us. So we did a home and home with them. Thank goodness for the WCC. Thank you, WCC, because that made our schedule. It would have been really hard to get our schedule to meet our league requirement of 4 quad 1, quad 2 games in the non-conference, but we play Santa Clara on a neutral floor. We play a home and home with San Fran, and we're playing a home and home Washington State, starting at Washington State. So that league really helped us, but a lot of people don't want to play that league too. If you look at the top of that league, other than Gonzaga, those are scary teams that are in the top 75 in the net and can beat anyone if on any given night.
Yep. So what, Coach, when are you doing the bake sale in Peoria?
I'm definitely not doing a bake sale. That's for sure. I'm recruiting and I'm very in the gym with my players right now. We got enough to work on. But we do the spaghetti dinner. That's always that. The I2 spaghetti dinner is a big deal. So I'm sure Terre Haute's got some good meals.
We got some good meals, but I'll tell you what, we do have our big golf outing this week. So
there you go.
Yep. So we're at it. But like you said, between recruiting, trying to coach your team, and then really the rest of the times trying to fill in that NIL stuff. And it's really challenging, challenging.
Yeah. So we do this thing, as you guys have both been here on the shot clock, but this is going to be all Missouri Valley Conference related. Okay. Just give me, 1 or 2 word answers. If it leads to something else, we can. I mean, there's probably going to be some thought behind it because, we ask thoughtful, especially myself, ask very thoughtful, educated questions when you have a UIC and DePaul degree. But I will go and just one at a time. You're both going to answer these. So 1 word to describe Missouri Valley Conference basketball.
Tough.
Competitive.
Yeah. Has that changed because, Coach Graves, you played in the Midwestern Collegiate, and then Coach Wardle, you played, I guess, in what would that have been, the Great Midwest?
No, I played when I played at Marquette. It was Conference USA.
Conference USA, okay.
And then coaching, I say tough, but I'd say smart. I would say smart when it comes to our league. Just smart basketball players, smart coaches, just smart basketball.
You know what a funny experiment would be, Midwestern Collegiate Conference teams that are still now in where they're at, and then the same for you, Brian, Conference USA, where the team's at now.
It's our league. My son, who's 12 now, Davin, he's like following basketball really, like he's into it right now. So he's like, Dad, who's in your league? Conference USA? Conference USA is this right now. And I'm like, Dad, it was us. It was Cincinnati, Louisville, St. Louis, DePaul, UAB. I mean, it was Charlotte. It was just a totally different league.
What about TCU, Tulane? Were they in there?
Tulane was. Houston was. Houston and Tulane
TCU wasn't?
Not TCU. No.
So when I was coaching at DePaul in the early 2000s, we had TCU in there, East Carolina, South Florida, Memphis. Memphis was in there.
Yeah, Memphis was in there. Yep. It was a great league. It was a great league. It was a top 5 league.
In the Midwestern Collegiate, even early, Xavier was in there, Evansville, LaSalle had a cup of coffee in that league. Northern Illinois was in there for a year or 2.
Loyola.
Yep.
Wisconsin, Green Bay, Milwaukee. It's crazy. Detroit. I mean, it was it's crazy. But what is the biggest misconception of Missouri Valley Conference basketball? The biggest misconception?
That it's slow. And that they don't score that they don't score a lot of points.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, pace of play.
Here's what I would tell people. Like, if you have a league of 12 like we do, you're going to have, there's going to be 5 to 6 programs in our league that do play low possession ball, but then there's 5 or 6 that get up and down and will score in the 80s and 90s. Indiana State was last year. Drake, we were 3rd in the league. We want to go. We want to play. I think what people try to hurt us on in recruiting is just it's a grinded out defensive league. You're not going to have freedom to score, get up and down. I would disagree with that. Now, it depends on the program and the coach, but I think there's a lot of programs now where you see pace going up, fast play, shots in the first 10 seconds of the shot clock. Because honestly, we're not getting a good look in our league. If we can get a look in the first 8 seconds, 10 seconds, we're taking it. Because if you let any team in our league get set defensively, you're going to have to grind it out for that possession. So I want to get up and down. I want to shoot fast. And I think that's a misconception that's not necessarily true.
No, I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, and I think it's funny. I'm looking at these coaches in these programs. I'm trying to figure out which coach slows it down, because I don't see Coach Prom at Murray State slowing it down, Paradine at Illinois State, even Coach Powell at Valpo slowing it down. So it's kind of I think that's what it used to be. I mean, it was like it was maybe 20, 30 years ago, but I mean, no one is really slowing it down. There's a handful of coaches that will try to get it to 50, 60 points scored on defense. But I don't think.
Well, even like Coach Nagy at Southern Illinois, his teams have always played fast at Wright State.
Yep.
I think the league's going to get faster.
Yep.
I agree.
Toughest place to play in the Missouri Valley.
I got to say, Bradley's an awfully tough place to play. Bradley is an awfully tough place to play.
Yeah, our fans have been good.
They travel well. I saw them in Akron. They travel well, man, and they're aggressive.
Yeah, they get after it a little bit. Yeah, they get after it, and when they go to nice cities, and like when they all want to go to Belmont and they want to go to Nashville, and my whole job is to make sure that they get to the game. But we have some great fans that are extremely supportive, but. Indiana State last year was fun because when we came in, it was sold out.
Place was rocking.
Drake's hard. Because we battled Drake the last 4 or 5 years. We've had
good environment.
Good environment. Mm-hmm. It's loud. It's really loud in there, and that's always been fun. And we honestly, for Bradley, it's different for Indiana State. They probably travel better at certain places. When we go to Southern Illinois, they've always had massive crowds for our game against Bradley because of the long tradition of them playing each other. And
but there's nothing else to do in Carbondale. There's nothing else to do in Carbondale. I mean, you guys have all played down there. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's a great college town. It's a good college town, good college city.
But I think the other thing, though, you start even thinking about schools in the league, just getting a road win anywhere at those places. Bradley, Illinois State, Drake, Carbondale. Going up to Northern Iowa to try to get a win. I mean, it's the environments and just trying to grind it out and beat them 85-80 is really tough.
Yeah.
Well, in a lot of mid-major leagues, they don't have crowds on the road. Like everywhere in the Valley has fan support. Yeah. Everywhere in the Valley, it's a basketball school. And so that's what makes it unique and really, really exciting for recruiting and telling recruits is like, you go to Indiana State, you're going to play in front of a huge crowd. You come to Bradley, it's going to be rocking. I mean, you're not going into some of these arenas where there's 500 to 1,000 people. You're just not. You're going into loud schools and cities that love basketball.
Has your guys' perception changed on the Missouri Valley from when you guys were playing? I mean, you guys obviously played at a high level. Has it changed now that you guys have been in it for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years coaching?
For me,
go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
Right. Go ahead. For me, yes, because I was a head coach in the Horizon League, and I always wanted to play, the Valley teams because it was, a league that was always above us. And I thought we always had really good teams at Green Bay that could compete with them. And when I got in the league and you start going through the conference schedule year after year after year and the travel and the hard arenas to play in, and you go up against the coaches, I think it is extremely well-coached league. I think every team is very prepared. And like I said, the word smart, you need smart basketball players to win in our league. It's not where you can just throw some athletes out there, get up and down. Like at Green Bay, honestly, I had smart players, but I also had great athletes that, we would just attack the glass and run and attack the glass. And our league, they're going to pick you apart if you don't have a high basketball IQ and a high feel on that court. And so that's what I've really changed my opinion on is just how hard it is to win in and how you got to recruit to the league, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is just one, the coaching, and there's no doubt about that, but just the overall depth of the league. You know, when you were playing, whether it was the Horizon League or even the Midwestern Collegiate, there were games on your schedule. To be fair, if the bus doesn't break down, you're probably going to win. And if you get to the game, you're going to win. And in the Missouri Valley, it's not like that. Every night you've got to find a way to get it done.
Yeah.
And it's a good point, because in other leagues there was like 3 teams where like we have to go 5-1 at worst against.
Yeah.
Have to, right? Like you got to be 6-0 or 5-1, and so you can't say that ever in the Valley schedule in the conference.
I was looking at the conference schedule the other day and just picking out, okay, we got this road game, we come back and play these guys, and then you go to this stretch, and it's like, man, are we going to get a win in this anywhere here soon? It's hard.
Yeah,
it's really hard.
You don't want the bus to break down around the UIC pavilion, so we won't we won't go there. But
wow,
tough place.
Hey,
tough place to play. Tough place.
I know. It's a cool arena, but which conference arena or gym do you think has the best concessions?
I don't know, because I never get to go to the concessions ever. I just sit in my locker room and walk out to the court. That's pretty much all we do.
Any place that has Fountain Mountain Dew on tap, I'm good to go. So other than that, I don't know much other than if a manager can go to the concession stand and get me a Fountain Mountain Dew, I'm all right.
Hey, Coach, you know what you're changing in Peoria? No more Fountain Mountain Dew at Bradley home games. Get
our
diet.
Our fans
diet
are drinking. The majority of our fans are drinking something a little bit cooler at the game, so they're always ready to go. So we'll have to make sure Matt gets that for sure.
Okay, which conference coach has the best shoe game?
It's not me, so I can just say that right away.
My wife picks out my shoes for me pretty much. So I got some decent shoes, I got to admit, but Roger can dress now at Valpo.
Yeah.
Roger, his first year of he's smooth. He looks smooth all year.
Good call.
I kept complimenting him on his look. I said, man, you'll look the part. The wins are coming, man. The wins are coming for sure.
He was a Peoria kid, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Peoria
I mean,
Manual?
he was.
Yeah,
he went to. I mean, Roger I've known forever, because I was a little older than I'm playing AAU ball in the Illinois Warriors program. So he was a little younger than me coming up and saw our team play. So he was a heck of a player too.
Yeah, he was. Most animated coach on the sidelines.
I'm sure Matthew was going to say, maybe see me.
Wardle, you're up there, man. I've seen you in person now twice.
I've gotten better. I'm getting old now. I got more gray hairs now.
I also don't blame you, because I don't blame you for getting, especially when I saw you at the St. V gym, which was a shoebox. No offense, but
that was tough.
Yeah, you could hear everything. Coach really was. Yeah. That was a tough game too.
I've gotten better there, but I tell people I'm recruiting, my kids know, like I'm going to be the same guy every day. I'm real. There's no phony in me. There's no fake. Yep. I'm intense. I'm competitive, and I love basketball. I love to compete, and I think your players feed off your personality too. So you can't not be who you are. That's the worst thing you can be as a coach.
All right, give me a second coach that's the most animated, since we got Coach Brian over here as one of them. Is there another one that gets after it during the game?
I think it's hard, because you got half the league's new.
Yeah.
That's
true.
And then
don't let Jake slide. Jake's got that calm demeanor, but when Jake turns up, he turns up with the best of them. He gets it done. He gets it done.
Yeah. Okay. Who is the best conference official?
You're just trying to get us in trouble, aren't you?
No, not really.
Plead the fifth.
You should hear some of these other coaches give answers. It's like none of them. It's like, oh God.
Wow.
We do have a lot of good ones, though. I mean, the one thing I love about the Valley is we got good refs, and They may not think that I think that, but I do. I mean, there's a quality group of referees, older guys that have been in our league now for years that have no ego, and they just ref the game, and they're easy to talk to, and they're actually fun to go back and forth with during the game. So
would you say they're better than MAC officials? Would you say they're better than MAC officials?
Yes, I would. That'd be my opinion, but I'm biased
I
towards
would
the
agree
Valley
too.
officials.
Yeah. Okay. So which conference team was called the most, or which team had the most fouls in your conference last year that were called? Which team?
Definitely not Indiana State. I know that.
Yeah, because we wouldn't guard anybody.
Oh, you guys guarded. Don't get it wrong. You guys guarded. I've called Josh and Darren since they left the league. I'm like, Darren, how did you guys get away with holding and bumping and running into us on dribble handoffs? Like, well, how'd you practice? I want to know how they practice it, because they were like masters of it, of being physical without fouling and not getting the fouls and showing their hands at the right time. So I picked Darren's brain already about that, but I don't know who it would be. Who fouled? Missouri State? Were they up there?
Nope. All right. Number one with 18.1 personal fouls per game was SIU.
Yeah, Southern Illinois.
Yeah.
Brian's teams.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah. And you know who had the least?
Who?
Indiana State.
Evansville, 15.1. It really didn't help them though. But it's funny. Bradley
sense.
Bradley was third with 16.8, and Indiana State was fifth with 16.4.
Yeah.
So it's a good stat to work on and look at yourself and how you coach and what have you. But last question: if they made a movie with all the Missouri Valley head coaches in it, what would that movie be called?
Oh man, something with all new faces. Something, because we have so many new faces, and like,
man, that's a good question. I don't
know.
We got one. We've
got a good
some
one.
Well, we got some different ones. Couple of them I'm not going to repeat. One was Harlem Nights. I'll repeat that. I won't repeat the other one. Another one was they said something, but we changed it to Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, because it was the Sun Belt. They don't fly charter.
Oh wow,
that's pretty funny.
I know.
Oh,
I kind of came
that's
up
pretty
with
good.
that one.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know with all the new faces we have. Something with trying to build camaraderie and having a lot of new faces would be.
I'll think of that one. So last question I want to ask you guys. Sam would usually ask the last question. Kind of just let your kind of each individually, like your faithful, your alumni, your boosters, your fans kind of know what to expect from Indiana State and also Bradley.
Well, I think from Indiana State, what you're going to get is a team that's a work in progress. I've even seen it from, early June to, now the difference in jumps that our guys have made, and they're just more enjoyable to watch. And when boosters and things come and watch practice, they feel a little bit safer, because not as many balls are going to come flying their way from all the turnovers. So I think from November to December on through the conference season, what the fans are going to see is a team that really grows and develops, and becomes a team that has a chance at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for us, I think we're going to be an exciting team to watch. I think we're going to play with good pace. Kind of controlled aggression is what I always talk about. We're going to be aggressive, but we're going to be smart about it. And with our staple of our program, we're going to defend and rebound. And then offensively, we want to play with pace and get out and go. And we got a really good group of vets mixed with some younger guys that I think are coming together. I think there's a lot of room for improvement, especially from today on. But it's going to be a competitive team, a team that's going to be tough, and definitely I think exciting with some players out there that can make some exciting plays to watch.
Yeah. Well, we're excited. I mean, Indiana State has a couple ball players coming in that average double digits, and some other programs. And then Bradley returns, Duke Dean and Darius Hannon, and also had met Met's going to keep the ball up top on rebounds. We talked about that. So I'm excited for the Missouri Valley. You guys are going to stick with us 1 second as we upload the podcast, but don't forget to check out both these individual programs, Coach Graves in Indiana State, the Sycamores, and the Bradley Braves with Coach Wardle. And, we'll be back probably tomorrow or the next day with another conference preview on the Full Court Press podcast, a college basketball experience.